Good morning. For today's lesson is Law of the Sea, lesson number 9. But first, before we go on, the objectives of this lesson is we're going to, number 1, identify the principles of the Law of the Sea. Number 2, explain the concepts of baseline, archipelagic state, and the Philippine archipelagic state. Number 3, differentiate the territorial sea, the exclusive economic zone, or also called known as EEZ, the continental shelf, high seas, and the responsibilities of the coastal states. So, definition of terms. Number 1, Law of the Sea. Law of the Sea is a body of international rules that bind states and other subjects of international law in the maritime affairs. And Law of the Sea is a body of customs and treaties and international agreements by which governments maintain order, productivity, and peaceful relations on the sea. Number 2 is the baseline. Baseline is the line form which the outer limits of marine spaces under the national jurisdiction of the coastal state are measured. It is also the line distinguishes internal waters from the territorial sea. Next. Archipelagic state, number 3. A state constituted wholly by one or more archipelagos and may include other islands. Number 4, archipelago. A group of islands, including part of island interconnecting waters and other natural features, which are also closely interrelated that such islands, waters, and other natural features, and political entity or which historically have been regarded as such. Law of the Sea. What is Law of the Sea? Law of the Sea, as I mentioned earlier, is a body of international rules that bind states and other subjects of international law in their maritime affairs. And its functions are the spatial distribution of national jurisdiction and to ensure cooperation between states. And there are following principles of the Law of the Sea has been governor approved. First is the principles of freedom, aims to ensure the various uses of the oceans. We have the second one, principle of sovereignty, seeks to safeguard the interests of coastal state. Number 3, principle of the common heritage of mankind, seeks to promote the common interests of all people in present and future generations. So, principles of freedom, for me, it aims to ensure that the uses of the ocean would not go to waste. And the principle of sovereignty is to seek to protect our coastal state, the oceans, the sea, and the corals, the living organisms under the water. And principle of the common heritage of mankind is we need to promote our coastal state for our present and future generations. Next. And the Law of the Sea has been modified into 4. In 1930, the Acute Conference for the Codification of the International Law. In 1960, UNCCLOS II, the Second United Nations Conference on the Law of the Sea. Third, in the year 1958, the UNCCLOS the First United Nations Conference on the Law of the State. Lastly, 1973 to 1982, UNCCLOS the Third United Nations Conference on the Law of the Sea. So, what is baseline? Baseline, for me, it's the line from which outer limits of maritime space under the national jurisdiction, and it is also a vital feature of maritime law. So this is very important to us, to all the people. And there are 2 types of baselines. First, the normal baseline. It is the low water a line along the coast as marked on large-scale charts officially recognized by the coastal state. So that is the normal baseline. Strait baseline. It is also the line along the coast from the which seaward limits of state, territorial sea, and the certain other maritime zones of jurisdiction are measured, such as state's exclusive economic zone, or closing lines across river mountain bays and archipelago baselines. So those are the two types of baseline. And we have the archipelagic baseline. Under the Part 8R 46 UNC closed the term, an archipelagic state is a state constituted wholly by one or more archipelagos and may include other islands. An archipelago is a group of islands including part of islands, interconnected waters, and the other natural features, which is also closely related that such islands, waters, and other natural features form an intersected geographical, economic, political entity or which historical have been regarded as such. So we have the following constitute an archipelago. Archipelagic baseline. First is existence of group of island. Second, historical practice. Third, existence of intrinsic geographical, economic, and political entity. Number 4, compactness or agency of islands. And two kinds of archipelago. First is the coastal. Coastal refers to a group of islands situated so close to a mainland that they may be considered a part thereof, forming more or less an outer coastline from which is natural to measure the marginal seas. That is the first kind of archipelago, coastal. Remember that. Second is outlying or mid-ocean. This one refers to a group of islands situated in the ocean at such distance from the coast of firm lands as to be considered as an independent whole rather than the forming part of our outer coastline of the mainland. So that will be all for today, and I am Christian Lawrence Arpicarlo from BSB1 reporting. Thank you.